New York will host one of the biggest sporting events in the world when the European champions, Spain, take on reigning world champions Argentina tonight at 9 p.m. South African time. My colleague Sherwin Bryce Pease is our man on the ground to give us some perspective on the success and potential failures that this tournament has had. Sherwin, this tournament was marred with a great deal of controversy. Let's start with matters off the field in terms of the impact this tournament has had. We saw the increased interest in soccer after the 1994 World Cup in the United States of America. Now, with the performance of players like Messi who play their football in America, what has been the impact in terms of the interest by the American public?
Look, I think this is a World Cup that was marred by other geopolitical events. Oliver, as you well know, there is a major war that the United States is engaged in, while it is co-hosting, along with Mexico and Canada, the biggest soccer showpiece in the world. And I think those are the elements that, infuse this World Cup with the drama, with the political drama, but also the drama on the pitch. And I think we've got through that despite all the proclivities that were attached to this tournament at the beginning, the high prices, the cost of the moment, the ticket prices that were, resold on ticketing websites and the like. And this was an expensive exercise for a lot of people. But I think the focus very much today will be on the logistical exercise that is going to move about 130,000 people in this region to the 80,000-seater MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, but also a 50,000 capacity a fan park event that was announced by Mayor Zoran Mamdani a few weeks ago at Central Park. There's going to be a halftime show that features Madonna, Shakira, BTS, Coldplay, among others. So, politics aside, high cost aside, this is going to be about the colonized versus the colonizer, Spain versus Argentina. Will they be able to knock Messi off his perch, the defending champions? It all comes down to what will happen on the pitch today, is it not? And if you look at the third game playoff yesterday between England and France, 10 goals. Don't expect that sort of bounty come the final. I think people are going to be quite limited in terms of how they're going to play today, but it's a final, so what do you expect?
The three co-hosts didn't make it that far into the tournament. America controversially in the quarterfinal, Canada in the quarterfinal as well. Mexico also didn't make it much further. Did interest on the ground in the tournament wane after the co-host of the tournament exited?
I don't think so. I don't think it waned. I do think there was a sense of enthusiasm just by virtue of these countries hosting. Mexico, of course, one of the more established soccer playing nations. Canada, a bit less so. This is football country, American football, as you well point out, right? And so there's a lack of enthusiasm for soccer per se in this part of the world, but what it has done, I think it has enthused Americans to watch the sport. Whenever I would walk into a bar or walk into a store or at the airport in a terminal, you saw Americans watching this game, particularly as their own team progressed through, to the knockout stages. And so I think you saw this many years ago when the U.S. advanced, I think, to the quarterfinals or the last round of 38 in previous World Cups. And so that sort of passage does generate enthusiasm locally. And understand this, I think the disconnect is that people don't understand that at high school and at primary school in the United States, everybody plays soccer. You don't see that translate into, butts in seats, if you will, later in life. And that is the little disconnect that I think you're going to see corrected as we move forward, with TV rights and money and advertising and all the rest. They have this big halftime show. This is the first time there is ever going to be a halftime show at a World Cup final or at a soccer match, akin to what you see at the Super Bowl. And so that's going to generate new interest. Big names, Madonna, BTS, Shakira, Coldplay. These are household names in the United States. It might not be Taylor Swift, but I think that in and of itself is going to draw a different kind of audience, as you see during the halftime show at the Super Bowl. And so I think the wind is at their backs in terms of developing the sport. There's something called the MLS, the major soccer league in terms of soccer in the United States, akin to what you have in South Africa, the Premier League, the English Premier League in the UK. And so that is certainly something that is going to be developed moving forward, Oliver.
Yeah, and of course, Mbegazile Mugazi being a star of the MLS is quite something to observe. And of course, he gets to play in the All-Star match, which is really a uniquely an American thing, the All-Star format of the game. What has been shown the observable economic impact of this tournament across the three countries?
Look, this has been a bounty in terms of revenue generation for FIFA. The ticket prices were quite extreme and extraordinary. You had these resale websites where people bought tickets early and then were able in Canada and the United States to resell them. There were some reports initially that, in terms of hotel bookings and accommodation and the like, the level of interest in certain cities was not as high as was anticipated. But we fully understand that there will be a sold-out venue at MetLife in New Jersey today, 50,000 tickets, free as they may be, for the Central Park event. So there is a lot of enthusiasm here. I think there has been a lot of revenue generation for FIFA. We'll have to, do the accounting and see where all the numbers fall. But certainly from a revenue point of view, just given how expensive tickets have been, I think FIFA is not going to be complaining at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. And just to shift gears to a separate matter entirely, Sherwin, and that is that there's been an increase in hostilities between the US and Iran overnight. What's the latest on that?
Well, we get these reports confirmed by Central Command in the United States, what they call CENTCOM, confirming that retaliatory strikes by Iran against Jordan in particular. As you well understand, Oliver, Iran has been retaliating to various Gulf states in addition to Jordan, and CENTCOM confirmed overnight that 2 service people have been now confirmed dead from these retaliatory strikes. 1 individual, we understand, is still missing. Several were injured. We understand they've been released from Jordanian hospitals, but this is a broad escalation, given the fact that the memorandum of understanding seems to no longer be the central point that is keeping this, conflict towards a trajectory of peace. The ceasefire is all but defeated in terms of the escalation that we have witnessed. And so where do we go from here? This is, no one really knows where we go from here, given the fact now that more U.S. service members have been killed, but also understand that a number of Iranian service people and civilians, we understand, have been killed since this escalation that is now about a few weeks old. 38 Iranian individuals have been killed, according to the health ministry in Iran, and some 400 injuries. So this escalation is certainly not what the world needs to see right now, given the fact, of course, that the oil price, the Brent crude oil price, is edging towards $90 a barrel. That means prices go up for everybody, everywhere, including in South Africa.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Sherwin Bryce Pease, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Coming to us live there from New York, where the FIFA World Cup final will be taking place tonight at 9 p.m. South African time.